Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 246 of the Nova Coach podcast, Word of the Year. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. Happy New Year. It's the 1st of January. It's the calendar flip, and the 1st of January has happened to fall on a Monday. I'm always amused when this happens. Do you set a word of the year? That's my question for you today. So I first came across this practice, I think it was in 2019. 2020 is the first year I can remember deliberately setting a word of the year, and it was strong. And then in 2021, I set the word receive. And that year I went to a retreat with Angela Henderson. It was fabulous. It was a business retreat. Highly recommend. And as part of the gifts that she gave each of us who were attendees, she asked us what our words of the year were. And then when we got there to the retreat, we got this little plaque with our word on it and then the year. And then these plaques are made from Sweetheart Creative. So if you're in Australia, sweetheartcreative.com.au. I'm not affiliated in any way, but since I have this every year, I've gone and ordered one. And she does an amazing job because having this plaque, mine always sits here next to my monitor. And it's that daily touchstone, that daily reminder. So if you haven't said a word of the year before, if you don't want to use a word, you can use a phrase, but it's something that will be your touchstone, something that you will anchor to, something, is a reminder for the year. I much prefer this process than setting New Year's resolutions. Each to their own. If New Year's resolutions work for you, you do you. But there's something about having a word, a phrase, an intention, an anchor point, a touchstone, especially when times are tough or things aren't going your way, that reminder to, what you want to bring more of into your life for this year, what you want to lean into this year. So this was 2021. And then the following year, 2022, I chose ease. That was a fabulous year. And then last year, it seems so weird calling it last year when it was like yesterday. My word was believe. And any Ted Lasso fans in the house, I didn't even make the connection believe, and it's in gold, like the yellow believe sign in the show. And then for this year, before I turn this year's one over, you're going to be entertained. I chose this word because it's something that I don't do easily. I'm stubborn. And when the plaque arrived, I'm not particularly fond of the S in the font. If I'm totally honest, I'm like, ooh. So I get to practice the word from day dot, from the get-go. So my word for this year for 2024 is surrender. And when I saw this S, I was like, is part of it missing? Has it broken off? But yeah, no. S is the first letter of my name. So I've seen many variations of S, but never one that quite looks like this. So if you've never set a word of the year before, there's many different ways you can do this. I'm by no means an expert, but then again, imagine that being on your CV. I'm an expert word of the year giver or creator. There can be, sometimes a word just comes to you. So for this year and for last year, actually, surrender, believe, they just came to me. In the last months of the year before, they were like, yeah, this is something that I want to be my touchstone that I want to bring into the following year. For ease and for receive, I did a little process. So you can Google word of the year journal prompts. I'm sure that that's heaps of resources available. I don't have a resource sheet for that, but there's journal prompts. There's looking into what's happening for you in this coming year. What are your plans? For me, I chose surrender because last year was tough. There was a lot of things that didn't happen how I hoped. There was a lot of grief. There was a lot of sadness. And so for this year, I chose surrender to be like, wherever I am, there I am. And no matter what happens externally, I've always got me. And to surrender the outcome, because there are things that we can control, like I can control turning up and recording this every single day, but I can't control how it's received. And sometimes I inadvertently say something that somebody takes in not a great way, and there is some, comments or email exchange or whatever, and it's like surrendering that, my intention, my well-meaning intention isn't always received that way. Yeah, there's so many things, surrendering some of the stuff with parenting as my kids are getting older and a bit more independent. Surrendering, that the effort that you put in doesn't necessarily always bring the result, at least immediately, and that trust to keep showing up and keep chipping away. So yeah, if you've got a word of the year, I'd love to know what is yours. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. If not, if you're listening to it, you can go to send me an email, info@suzanneculberg.com. What's your word of the year? What's your relationship with the process been? I always find it fascinating how it keeps coming back. And that's why I chose the plaques, so I can sit it on my desk and it's that visual reminder each day. And that touch point and that milestone, that anchor when things are tougher, as they are, from time to time, that reminder, to bring yourself back to it. So I'd love to hear what yours is. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for the reviews. I got another one that I absolutely adored. I'll see if I can find it quickly, that I'm going to read out. Oh, that's my family in the background. I don't know if that came through. Sometimes the mic's pretty good. So I'll have to wrap this up really shortly, but I just wanted to read this review because it was very heartwarming. It says, the title of the review was Heartwarming Podcast. This podcast is wholesome. I love that there are kid guest stars. It's great to hear what the youth is thinking. Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope to catch you on the next one. Bye for now.